The warning. The crystalline dome of the stellar assembly gleamed under the light of 3 artificial stars, each one representing the founding species of the galactic government. Commander Krex Valderin stood at the speaker's platform, his forearms trembling despite his legendary reputation as the most decorated warrior in the Nexari military. His chitinous exoskeleton, once a brilliant gold that marked him as elite guard, now bore countless scars and patches of dull gray, where regeneration had failed to restore its original luster. The assembly hall stretched before him like an ocean of skeptical faces. Representatives from 300 civilized worlds occupied their designated platforms, some floating in atmospheric bubbles suited to their biology, others perched on specialized furniture that accommodated their unique forms. The Melody delegation swayed their tentacled forms in what Krex recognized as barely concealed amusement. The crystalline Sharons hummed at frequencies that suggested impatience. Even his own people, the proud Nexari, clicked their mandibles in embarrassment at seeing their greatest warrior reduced to what they clearly believed was paranoid delusion. Supreme Arbiter. Thex Morvani raised her ceremonial staff, and the hall fell silent. Her species, the Etherians, were beings of pure energy contained within mechanical shells, and her voice resonated through every translator in the chamber with perfect clarity. Commander Valderin, you have requested emergency session to address what you claim is an existential threat to our civilization. The floor is yours, though I remind you that false alarms carry severe penalties. Krex touched the ceremonial scar on his chest plate, a gesture of sincerity among his people. Honored representatives, what I tell you today will sound impossible. You will think me mad, broken by too many battles, perhaps suffering from void psychosis. But I swear on the honor of 10,000 Nexari warriors who came before me, every word is truth. The chamber rippled with murmurs of interest. Krex had never invoked such an oath before. 6 cycles ago, my battalion responded to distress signal from the Korvax mining operation in the Outer Veil. Pirates had seized the facility, taking 800 workers hostage. Standard protocol suggested we needed a full assault fleet to retake the station without massive casualties. We had only my command cruiser and 40 soldiers. The tactical computers calculated our chance of success at 3%. Then we encountered them. The humans. Several delegates laughed outright. The humans were known to the assembly barely. They had achieved faster than light travel only recently, and possessed technology that the galaxy considered quaint at best. Their single colony ship had been observed bumbling through space, taking 3 times longer than necessary to reach their destination. They were classified as harmless primitives, scheduled for eventual integration once they matured another 1,000 years. Krex's primary eyes blazed with intensity. The human vessel appeared from nowhere, broadcasting offer of assistance. Their ship was small, crude by our standards, held together with what appeared to be adhesive strips and hope. I nearly refused their help out of pity. That would have been my last mistake as a free being. Their captain, a female called Rivera, insisted they could help. She had only 8 soldiers, 8. I agreed only because I thought they might serve as distraction while we mounted the real assault. The amusement in the chamber grew palpable, but Krex continued, his voice growing stronger. The humans asked for the station schematics, studied them for exactly 4 minutes, then told us their plan. I thought it was suicide. They would enter through the waste processing system, navigate corridors barely large enough for their bodies, and emerge in 7 different locations simultaneously. When I pointed out that the pirates had motion sensors, thermal imaging, and automated defenses, Rivera smiled. She actually smiled and said, "We know. That's what we're counting on." Supreme Arbiter Morvani leaned forward slightly, her energy field flickering with curiosity. And this primitive plan somehow succeeded? Krex's mandibles clicked in what his species recognized as trauma response. They turned the pirates' own security system against them. One human, I learned later his name was Chen, crawled through ventilation shafts for 3 hours, breathing toxic fumes that would have killed any sensible species. He manually rewired the sensor grid while suspended upside down over a 50-meter drop. Another human named Thompson allowed himself to be captured deliberately. The pirates tortured him for information, breaking most of his bones. He gave them false tactical data that led them into ambush. When we found him later, he was still conscious, had reset his own broken arm using a pipe and medical tape, and asked if we had won yet. The laughter in the chamber died down. Several representatives exchanged uncertain glances. But the worst part, Krex continued, his voice dropping to barely above whisper that somehow carried through the entire hall, was their coordination. They moved like single organism with 8 brains. No radio communication, no visible signals, yet each human knew exactly where the others were and what they needed. When one was injured, another appeared to take their place before the first had even fallen. They anticipated the pirates' moves 3 steps ahead, turning every trap into their own advantage. In 43 minutes, 8 humans accomplished what my tactical computer said would require 200 soldiers and result in 60% casualties. The pirates were neutralized, all hostages rescued alive, and the humans had lost only 1 soldier. Delegate Yorth from the Bantari Confederation stood up, his 6 legs clicking against his platform. Commander, assuming this tale is true, you speak of 1 incident, 8 soldiers who got lucky. How does this translate to existential threat? Krex's forearms spread wide, gesture of ultimate sincerity among his people. Because I spent the next 30 cycles learning about them, what I discovered keeps me from sleeping. Humans have been at war with themselves for their entire recorded history. Not territorial skirmishes or resource disputes, but total wars of annihilation. They have a concept called total war, where entire populations, including civilians, become combatants. They have weapons called nuclear bombs that they used on their own species. They developed chemical weapons so horrible that even they agreed to ban them, and then they kept making worse ones in secret. The chamber had gone completely quiet now. Even the ever-moving melody had stilled their tentacles. They have saying, Krex continued, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. When faced with external threat, these beings who have spent millennia perfecting the art of killing each other will unite instantly. Their history is full of examples. Nations that were bombing each other one day stood together the next when faced with common threat. But here is what should terrify you most. Humans have a concept called acceptable losses. They will sacrifice thousands, millions of their own to achieve victory. I watched human named Martinez hold damaged airlock shut with his bare hands while pressure differential slowly crushed him. He held it for 17 minutes while his squad evacuated civilians. 17 minutes of agony that would have broken any other species in seconds. His last words were, "Did everyone make it out?" Supreme Arbiter Morvani's energy field flickered rapidly, sign of deep thought. Commander Valderan, what you describe is concerning, but the Stellar Assembly has maintained peace through strength for 3,000 years. Our fleets number in tens of thousands. Our weapons can crack moons. Surely you don't suggest that one small planet of primitives could threaten us. Krex looked directly at her, his compound eyes reflecting the artificial stars above. Supreme Arbiter, the humans have saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. The humans are small dog with the fight of supernova. But more importantly, they have quality that we have lost in our millennia of civilized warfare. They believe in causes greater than themselves. They will die for ideas, for principles, for strangers they have never met. When we fight, we calculate acceptable losses and retreat when the cost becomes too high. When humans fight for survival, they calculate only one thing: how many of the enemy can they take with them when they die? The Nexari commander pulled up holographic display showing Earth and its surrounding space. Right now, the Assembly views Earth as another primitive world to be absorbed when convenient. Some of you are already planning how to divide their resources, how to integrate their population as labor force. You see them as we have seen 100 other species as lesser beings to be controlled. But humans have another saying: give me liberty or give me death. They mean it literally. Delegate Zara from the Volari Empire rose, her crystalline form chiming with condescension. Commander, your war stories are entertaining, but you speak of impossibilities. No species chooses death over servitude. It goes against basic evolutionary survival instincts. The reckoning Krex's mandibles formed what humans would recognize as bitter smile. 3 days after the mining station incident, I asked Captain Rivera why her soldier Martinez chose to die holding that airlock. She said he had children on Earth. When I pointed out that his death meant he would never see them again, she looked at me with those strange human eyes and said, "But they'll grow up free." For a parent, that's worth any price. I did not understand then. I understand now. Humans will burn the galaxy to ashes before they let you take their freedom. The Supreme Arbiter stood, her energy field expanding in display of authority. Commander Valderan, your concerns have been noted and filed. However, the Assembly has already voted. Earth will receive standard integration notice in one cycle. They will have the choice to join peacefully or face the consequences of resistance. This session is concluded. Krex remained at the podium as the delegates filed out, many shaking their heads or laughing at what they saw as the ravings of a traumatized soldier. Only few lingered, watching him with thoughtful expressions. As the last delegate left, Krex opened private communication channel he had established weeks ago. Captain Rivera. He transmitted into the void. They did not listen. The fleet will come. The response came immediately, though Earth was light years away. We know, Commander. We've been listening. Thank you for trying. When this is over, you'll always have home here. Krex closed the channel and walked slowly from the chamber. Behind him, the artificial stars continued their eternal dance, unaware that their light would soon be joined by the burning wreckage of 1,000 ships. 3 months later, the Stellar Assembly's third integration fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Admiral Zeth Kromani of the Etherian Navy stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Infinite Supremacy, and surveyed his force with satisfaction. 400 ships, each one capable of depopulating continent. It was overkill for single primitive world. But the Assembly wanted to make statement. The integration of Earth would be broadcast to every member world as demonstration of the futility of resistance. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, the humans have assembled their defensive fleet. How many ships? Asked Kromani, already knowing it would be pitiful number. Approximately 417 vessels, sir. Most appear to be converted civilian craft. Several are broadcasting what appear to be entertainment programs. Kromani's energy field flickered in amusement. Open channel to their lead ship. Let us offer them one chance to surrender with dignity. The main viewer activated, showing the bridge of human vessel. The man standing at its center was older, with gray hair and scarred face that suggested lifetime of combat. He wore simple uniform with no ornamental decorations, just name tag that read Harrison and single star on his collar. Admiral Harrison, Kromani began, using the translator's approximation of human rank structures. I am Admiral Zeth Kromani of the Stellar Assembly. You have one opportunity to surrender your world peacefully. You will be treated fairly. Your population will be integrated as protected citizens, and your resources will be managed for the greater good of galactic civilization. You have 5 minutes to consider. Harrison did not even pause. No. The simplicity of the response actually caused Kromani to flicker in surprise. No? You would condemn your entire species to extinction for pride? Harrison smiled, expression that Kromani would later realize should have been his first warning. Admiral, with respect, go fuck yourself. Earth stands free or Earth burns. Your choice. The channel closed. Kromani's energy field blazed with indignation. All ships prepare for bombardment pattern Alpha. We will start with their population centers. Let them watch their cities burn and see if their resolve remains. But as the integration fleet moved toward Earth, something unexpected happened. The human ships did not form defensive lines. They did not retreat to protect their planet. Instead, they accelerated directly toward the alien fleet at speeds that their primitive engines should not have been capable of achieving. Admiral, the tactical officer's voice carried note of concern. The human ships appear to be on collision courses. All of them. Kromani began to laugh. They think to ram us. Our shields can withstand impact from asteroids. This is desperation of primitives who... His words were cut off as every human ship simultaneously detonated their faster-than-light drives. The humans had not developed proper FTL technology. What they had done was far more dangerous. They had deliberately destabilized their drive cores, turning each ship into faster-than-light missile. The space around Earth erupted into chaos as 417 miniature black holes appeared and immediately collapsed, taking huge chunks of the integration fleet with them. In the confusion, no one noticed the small objects that had been deployed from the human ships just before detonation. Thousands of tiny pods, each one containing single human and modified spacesuit, drifted through the wreckage. As they reached the alien ships, magnetic grapples deployed. The humans had not destroyed their own ships in desperation. They had turned them into delivery systems. On the Infinite Supremacy, alarms began screaming as hull breaches appeared throughout the ship. Kromani watched in horror as humans literally crawled through space, placing explosive charges on sensor arrays, weapon systems, and engine components. They moved in perfect coordination, each one knowing exactly where to strike for maximum damage. Admiral, Internal Security reported we have boarders. Multiple decks, how many? Cromani demanded. Unknown, sir. They're using some kind of stealth technology. Our sensors can't lock onto them. Wait, sir, they're in the life support systems. A new voice crackled over the ship's communication system. It was Admiral Harrison, who Cromani had assumed died with his ship. Admiral Cromani, this is Harrison. I'm currently standing in your primary life support processing center with 40 pounds of homemade explosives. You have two choices. Order your fleet to withdraw immediately, or I turn your flagship into the galaxy's most expensive coffin. You have 30 seconds to decide. This is impossible, Cromani transmitted. You're bluffing. You would die as well. Harrison laughed, sound that would haunt Cromani for the rest of his existence. Admiral, I'm 73 years old. I've got terminal cancer. I volunteered for this mission specifically because I've got nothing to lose. Every human on these boarding parties is either terminally ill, elderly, or simply volunteered to die for Earth. We're not bluffing. 20 seconds. Around the integration fleet, similar scenes played out. The humans had not sent their best soldiers on this mission. They had sent their dying, their elderly, their volunteers who had already said goodbye to their families. Each one carried enough explosives to cripple ship's critical systems. Each one was prepared to die. But the true genius of the human plan revealed itself in the next moment. As Cromani hesitated, Earth itself began to broadcast on every frequency in the galaxy. The transmission showed not military installations or defensive preparations, but schools where children were learning, hospitals where sick were being healed, families sharing meals, artists creating, scientists discovering, and over it all a child's voice speaking words that would echo through galactic history. We are humans of Earth. We choose to live free or die trying. We do not seek war, but we will not accept chains. To those who come in peace, we offer our friendship. To those who come as conquerors, we offer only death. Not because we are strong, but because we are free. And freedom is worth any price. The broadcast continued, showing humans of every nation, every color, every creed standing together. It showed their history, their wars against each other, and their unity against external threats. It showed mothers kissing children goodbye as they volunteered for suicide missions. It showed teenagers barely old enough to fight, welding armor onto school buses to create improvised combat vehicles. It showed entire cities evacuating to underground bunkers they had been secretly building since first contact with alien life. And finally, it showed something that made every member of the integration fleet freeze in horror. The humans had not spent their time developing better weapons or shields. They had developed something far more terrifying. They had developed virus, not biological but digital. It was already in the integration fleet's computers, transmitted through the very communication channels the aliens had opened. If the fleet did not withdraw in the next 10 minutes, the virus would activate, sending every piece of classified stellar assembly data to every rebellious faction, every pirate group, every oppressed species in the galaxy. Admiral Cromani's energy field fluctuated wildly as he processed the implications. The humans were not just fighting for their own freedom. They were threatening to ignite rebellion across the entire galaxy. They had turned their single-planet struggle into potential catalyst for galactic revolution. 5 seconds, Harrison's voice came again. What's it going to be, Admiral? Cromani made decision that would later be debated in military academies for millennia. All ships, emergency withdrawal. Return to assembly space immediately. As the battered integration fleet limped away from Earth, Harrison's voice followed them on every frequency. Tell the Stellar Assembly that Earth remembers its friends and its enemies. We hold no grudge against those who approached us in peace, but those who came to enslave us should remember this day. Remember that 8 billion humans stood together and said no, and if you come again, remember that we've only shown you what our dying and our volunteers can do. You don't want to see what happens when you truly make us angry. The transmission ended with simple message that appeared on every screen in the fleet. Earth stands free. In the aftermath, as the Stellar Assembly reviewed the disaster, they found message waiting for them in their most secure databases. It was from Captain Rivera, the human officer that Commander Krex had met months ago. The message was brief. Commander Valdrin tried to warn you. You didn't listen. We've been listening to your conversations for years. We know about every oppressed species, every enslaved world, every injustice you've perpetrated in the name of order. Earth stands ready to trade peacefully with those who respect freedom. But for those who deal in chains, we offer different bargain. Your former commander understood what we are. Now you do too. Choose wisely. The Stellar Assembly never sent another fleet to Earth. Within 2 years, they were offering Earth membership as an equal partner. Within 10 years, half their enslaved worlds had won their freedom. Inspired by Earth's example and secretly supplied with human advisors who taught them the art of asymmetric warfare, Commander Krex Valderin retired to Earth, where he became professor of xenology at the Mars Military Academy. His first lecture always began the same way. Let me tell you about the day I learned that humans don't calculate acceptable losses. They calculate acceptable sacrifices. The difference will save your life or end it. And in the halls of the Stellar Assembly, new saying emerged, whispered in the languages of 100 worlds. Never go to war with Earth. They don't fight to win. They fight to make sure that even if they lose, you lose too, and they consider that victory.